Maurice was right. I was wrong. Garry Kasparov releasing the piece, releasing his knight on b4, determines his move. And Hikaru Nakamura could have insisted that Garry Kasparov play that losing move. He did not, and the moment passed.
That's right.
The game ended in a draw. There was a great game. So Hikaru showing his gentleman's side by allowing that to happen. And Garry maybe not certain about that rule, as you were not either.
And we've got some games going on now. Garry Kasparov playing a mainline Grunfeld against Wesley.
I'm sorry to say, I don't have the games on my screen. My board is not being updated at the moment, so I'm sorry I can't show the.
Well, we do have the overhead view here.
We'll get the 2D graphic up in a second, but my board is not showing that.
We could come to this board, the big board, showing.
I've got it.
Showing both as well. We have two positions.
My bad.
If you look, you see Wesley here playing against Garry. Garry just played the move queen to d7. Fabiano against Nakamura. As you can take a look at both boards simultaneously, and it looks as though clock times. Kasparov has again not used any time on the clock. 5 minutes on his clock, while Wesley, seeing this move queen d7, has been thinking for some time. He's at 4:19, and on the other side, they're in a very quiet position right now.
Absolutely, and Garry Kasparov essaying one of his favorite mainstay defenses, the Grunfeld. Jennifer, you love to play the Grunfeld. Very sharp, consequential play, and so does Wesley. The Grunfeld popular for a number of players with the black pieces, but this game, Wesley with white has just played this move h4.
H4. So he's been he played it with success against Nakamura. So why not just keep going for those kingside attacks now with the move queen a4,
attacking the pawn on a2 pawn.
Because that will also lead to a double attack against the bishop on e2 and the rook on b1. So
exactly. So Wesley pursuing his attack has sacrificed a pawn with the move h5, challenging Garry Kasparov to capture this pawn on a2. Will he get his hand stuck in the cookie jar like Hikaru Nakamura did, where Hikaru grabbed a pawn that maybe he shouldn't have?
Well, queen c2 is another option, you know, but I guess we always have you always have rook to b2.
And he's taking the pawn on a2. So that move is legal according to the computer. Well, certainly legal. The computer is saying, look, you could take the pawn and still get away with it. White will end up having a slight edge in this position. Now the queen dropping back, and Wesley pursuing his aim of attacking on that king side. Down a pawn for the moment, but what can he drum up? It doesn't look as though he can repurpose his forces to that side very easily. Now trading on a6. White has to be just... White's a bit happy that he's got the center, but he's got to be careful that his pawn disadvantage doesn't start to tell in this game, as at the moment he is down a pawn. Typical Grunfeld sacrifice, but is it enough?
I guess knight g5 in queen h3 is the
definitely the main idea.
By the way, sometimes the club works.
Intermezzo taking on d4 first. Kasparov trying to tie down the piece to the d4 pawn.
And it's not only that, it's because he gets two connected passed pawns, Maurice.
Right, so now...
So it's all or nothing. White has to checkmate Garry's king. He will lose an endgame unless he lands a fatal blow on the king side.
Now the engine's giving the move queen. Did he play queen e2?
He did. Threatening rook a2, that's a big threat, just threatening to win a piece. So it looks like Garry is going to have to move to knight b4. Yeah,
right.
Knight b4 seems like the most logical. And
by the way, the moving that knight does release the a pawn. He's getting ready to push.
Queen e2.
So queen c4,
queen
a5.
e2 was not his best move.
I don't like the move of queen e2.
Queen e2 is not what the position was about. The Indians wanted him to shift and go to the king side where his attack was, queen f4. But queen e2, knight c7 now on the board. Knight to c7
he didn't
instead
play that one.
on the board. And the Indians think that is not enough compensation for White here after knight c7. And it looks as though Wesley is almost given up on that king side attack and is now attacking on the queen side, surprisingly so. Like he's feeling like he's down a pawn, and every move he makes with the attitude that he's down a pawn is making it a reality. As he tries to attack on the queen side where he simply didn't belong and it wasn't called for, he is now slowly going down to actually being down an actual pawn. And look at that, he's back on e3. So that shows that all those moves were pointless, essentially, that he played, and Garry's aware of it.
Those tempi are so crucial in games like this, where the attack has to come on the king side to justify the pawn gambit, and Wesley's stutter step is not helping his cause whatsoever. Clearly, I don't like what Wesley did on his last few moves. Nobody does. And
now Garry has to figure out exactly how to prosecute this pawn advantage. He's now put his queen on c4, challenging the rook. He doesn't want the rooks to double on the A line for sure, so just testing this rook, what square will it go to? And if that rook has to go back toward the middle of the board, then it really shows how badly white played this position.
And by the way, I really like this move, queen c4, a lot. It's preparing the move knight e6, which has the double duty of protecting against knight g5, as well as simultaneously hitting this pawn on d4. The knight coming to e6 will be a useful defender, as well as an aggressive force against the pawn on d4.
And rook to d2 by Wesley, giving up all the demonstrations he had. It looked like he lost maybe 2 or 3 moves in his last couple of moves, putting his rook from b2 to d2 only, as his queen was on e3 before. Meantime, Kasparov has consolidated on the queen side. The problem is he's taking too long to figure out his advantage. He is now at 138 and counting down, while Wesley is at 311. We have not seen this disparity in any of the games. And Kasparov now nervous, bouncing back and forth. And Wesley as cool as a cucumber right there, trying not to move, hoping that Garry continues to think. 121 and counting down. Garry needs a move.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, Garry wants to try to create play on that D pawn, but he is worried about this bishop A3, rook C1 idea. So maybe rook D8.
A little bit indecisive decision making there by Garry, as he really goes down 2 minutes on the clock, and it's this move bishop A3 has been played.
Threatening rook C1.
Rook C1.
A waste of time. That last few moves were total waste of time. And now Kasparov, despite being up a pawn, is now in a bit of trouble. He's played the move knight to b5. Actually, he's found a great move, knight to b5. That one, attacking the pawn on d2. The Indians did not like, by the way, the move bishop to a3, precisely because of this response. Garry has found it, but 1 minute and 3 seconds left. Will he be able to giddy up so that he can really prove himself here? Wesley's forced to play e5, apparently.
Bishop b2.
He's actually played back. So the idea there is that after bishop e7, you just have rook d7?
Yes.
And then next move, you take on d4, and
precisely,
all your pieces are flooding into the game. So tricky to see.
You're in great form today. What's going on? Are you a blitz player?
Wesley has 2:45 to Garry's 53 seconds. Wesley is way ahead on the clock. He is defending admirably in this position, and now the knight has leapt into c3.
Whoa, what's going on? Guys, what's going on? Garry Kasparov just put his knight in an obvious pin.
And he's dead.
An obvious pin.
Rook to c1, and Kasparov knows it. He is busted after this move. He's about to drop a piece. And he's going red. And his time is ticking down.
It's over.
It is over. He's going to lose a piece.
I wonder if he hallucinated knight e2,
of course.
queen e2, queen c1 or something. I don't know. Some kind of weird hallucination.
Nothing to do.
That rook c1 was for some reason being answered by knight e2. He just forgot that the bishop...
There it is. Resignation on his part.
Okay, this is going to happen. I will predict that there will be a horrifying blunder by each and every player in this event. And we just saw one by Garry Kasparov.
Let's take a look at the other game, though, where Nakamura is